So the ANC, NEC, as we know, the highest decision-making body, what have they had to say about what's been happening at Eskom? I mean, they were having their meeting in the midst of this load shedding when it was at its worst and coldest at the weekend as well. And
not only that, Mvoko, we knew over a month ago that the people who were preparing for this last NEC meeting of the ANC that state the economy, unemployment, state-owned enterprises were at the very top of that agenda. And from what we're able to gather, people were really ready for a robust discussion because what were the options that you looked at? What actually convinced you, say, look, these guys are on the right path? And this is some of what he had to say.
When you deal with Eskom, you are dealing with technical issues. You are not dealing with just politics. You are dealing with power stations. You are dealing with engineers. You are dealing with people who know what they are doing. And we can't act as if we can just give them instructions to say, switch on. I don't know. I don't have that technical know-how. And I wouldn't want to pretend because I'm Secretary General of the ANC. I know how an engineer can deal with those challenges. We must actually give them the necessary support. We must encourage them to find solutions as speedily as possible. That's what we can actually say.
That does not inspire hope or confidence in me, Vuyo, I must admit. I mean, you don't have to be an engineer, but be part of the plan, be part of the push.
Not only that, this is the governing party, one, but two, the National Executive Committee is the highest decision-making body in between conference, because conference is that body that takes ultimate decisions. And with SAA, the response was quite similar, for example. It was like, okay, so what were you told? What were the options on the table? I said, no. We looked at what we're presented with, and from what we're told, we're convinced that actually the government is on the right path, and the business rescue decision was a correct one, notwithstanding, of course, what we all know, that the government's hand was actually forced. Solidarity went to court, but Ace Magashule insists that in fact wasn't the case.
Nothing
a
about
long time ago that this was the only way to go. Privatization, he told us at the briefing, was not even an option. Here's what he had to say though about when I asked him about the business rescue decision.
It's not true that Solidarity forced us to go to court. The president and his team acted at the right time when they could actually understand what was actually taking place. Remember, it was a voluntary type of thing. We could have chosen any other thing as government, but that was the option left for government. And the president, in his wisdom, after consultation with structures, the National Working Committee, the NEC Alliance, we are happy.
After being faced with court action, more like it, not consultations is what it is. So, speaking of the president, I saw, some speculation, some rumors that everything that's going on at the moment are attempts to just make Cyril Ramaphosa look bad, to sabotage him, and to get rid of him. Any talk about that?
Look, there's all sorts of conspiracy theories going on at the moment. There are people who believe that there are people within the ANC and within the National Executive or within the top six, it must be said, are working to actually weaken him so that they can then do with the ANC whatever it is that they want to do with him. And speculation has been rife that there are some who want to use the National General Council of the ANC. Now, the National General Council comes in between conferences. It's sort of midway through the 5-year term of that executive to review policies, to look at what they've done well, where they haven't done well, and where they can strengthan, and so on. Now, issues like getting rid of a president don't feature there because it's a policy review process. But then I did point out to him during during our meeting that in 2005, at the National General Council meeting at the University of Pretoria, Jacob Zuma had been kicked out of a cabinet, and his powers as the Deputy President of the ANC had also been taken away. Now, the issue of reinstating him or reinstating his powers, it was not something that belonged at the National General Council, but that's exactly what happened. But of course, Ace Magashule is adamant that that meeting is not about that, so for him, that question doesn't even arise. He remains, and so do the other 5 officials of the ANC and the rest of the National Executive Committee. National Executive Committee of the ANC. They remain committed to ensuring that President Cyril Ramaphosa is given the space and the support to do what he is doing well, including what he has done so far with regard to Eskom and SA.
You ask South Africans, they'll have a different story, but amazing to see those cracks in the party have miraculously disappeared. Well, thanks for that update. Vuyo Mvoko just bringing us up to speed what the ANC NEC kind of discussed at its last meeting at the weekend.